Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and it's Thursday. It's time to look at some recent sales for Hasbro Star Wars, the Vintage Collection. Before I dig in any further, I need to say thank you to a bunch of folks. First, Dave FXX. He recently upgraded his Patreon membership. Thank you, Dave, for supporting the channel. And I also got 3 new Patreon members, Ellen Doyle, Jason Colston, and Peter Klausner. So I want to say thanks to all 3 of you as well for recently becoming Patreon members. It means a lot. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up. All right, we've got a lot of interesting sales, TVC 1.0 all the way through to recent releases that are in high grade, AFA graded. 2 different SDCC Death Star box sets sold. Lots of interesting sales. All right, let's dig in. First of all, I know the picture is sideways, but you got to trust me on this one. This was an unpunched, I believe. It looks like it, yeah, unpunched VC-34 Jango Fett. And this one seems to be moving down a little bit in price. There was only one photo, and it was sideways. So you're taking a little bit of a risk that this one is as clean as advertised. This one was the Canadian example. You can see that by just looking in the upper left-hand corner with the multi-language for the age. So this one is the Canadian example. That one sold for 95 bucks. $95, pretty good deal there for the Canadian VC-34 Jango Fett. But I've seen this one unpunched go as high as like $200 to $250. And even the US card, I did find several data points sub $100. And so that's a pretty big price drop versus maybe some of the recent sales we've seen. And Jango Fett's been on a little bit of a wild ride. Obviously, he was re-released in that deluxe box set that nobody cared about because they wanted one mint-on card. And as a result, once Hasbro announced that it was going to be a deluxe box set, the original issue really shot up. It went from like 100 to 125 to 175 just for the standard US card. And it seems like things have calmed down a little bit. So I've seen several data points recently sub $100 in varying condition. But just keep all that in mind if you're still looking for the original issue VC-34 Jango Fett, either on the US or in this example, the Canadian card back. Try not to overpay right now because they have definitely come way back down to earth a little bit. Next up was Bastilla Shan. This was the US card unpunched. This one sold at an auction for $125. I found 2 other data points for the unpunched US card for $115 and $105. So anywhere from between $100 and $125 is what I would aim for if you're looking for Bastilla Shan with that prototype Fett offer sticker. Here's one without the offer sticker that was also unpunched. This one went for a lot of money. I would not pay this number, okay? This was a buy it now situation. It did have the paperwork inside the blister, so either it missed the prototype Boba Fett offer on the front of this one, or it was removed, which folks have told me that it is possible to do without damaging the card. But this one sold for $225. So we've got 2 different data points that both sold fairly recently, between $125 and $225. Don't be $225 guy. All right, aim for $100 to $125. Next up, I've got a few different sales for Princess Leia in her slave outfit. First is the standard retail release Return of the Jedi with the Boba Fett offer. It was a punched example, again, US card back, $205 and a buy it now. And then this one was the Revenge of the Jedi. Again, this one did have the paperwork inside the blister, but there was no offer sticker. So again, it could have been removed. That one sold for $280. $280 for that's a pretty big number if you ask me. But that one is what it sold for. So I could see that maybe for one without the paperwork inside, because that one obviously would be the SDCC Death Star box set version from 2011, which we are going to cover a little bit later on, as I already alluded to. But for the retail release, which this one is, given that it's got the paperwork inside, $280 is probably a little steep, in my opinion. Power Droid is back with some more recent sales, and there are some beauties. First is Han Solo Yavin Ceremony, VC-42, unpunched US card. This one sold for $90. And this one is another one that's been kind of on a wild ride. I've seen some for over double that price this year. $180 is the highest number I remember off the top of my head. But this is a little bit more in keeping with what I consider to be fair market value. And I don't know where Power Droid gets all these. He must have just had a sealed case times 50, because it seems like he's got everything. Next up is Kithaba on the US card bag. This one is the harder to find red bandana, at least for those of us in the US. This one sold for $130 in a buy it now. He also had the Shock Trooper unpunched VC 110 on the US card. That one sold for $160. That's a pretty big number there. I was kind of used to $110 to maybe $125, but the issue is like, if it's Power Droid, it's going to be case fresh. That's just what I've seen for a lot of his listings. And either has them AFA graded, or they're straight out of a sealed shipper box, and then he puts them in a star case. So I think he does command premiums for a lot of his preferred buyers. He also did have some Salacious Crumbs. Now, in all fairness, he did show that these were not perfect. This one had a crease on the Salacious Crumb, and the card had an obvious bend there. And then the mouse droid had some edge wear to it. So neither one of these were perfect. You can see some very faint veining to the mouse droid. Now, he sold a couple of these that were in that $1,400 to $1,450 range. He listed these for $900. And so they did sell for $900. But again, they were not perfect. They were a little bit damaged. And so he priced those accordingly. But he had two different sales for this combo that were $1,400 and $1,450. And so he sold off these because they did have some damage for $900. He also did have a full Death Star box set from the SDCC 2011. It also looked like it included the original box, as you can see there. I mean, he must have had hundreds of these, because it's crazy how many of these he sold. Either parceled them out separately or sold them as a full set. So this one did sell for $2,000. That's the healthiest price I've seen for the entire box set that I've ever seen. I mean, that's been a while since I've seen it hit $2,000, at least recently. I mean, I think the highest price during the bubble, during the 2021 bubble, was in that $2,800 range, if memory served. I don't remember everyone getting to $3,000 US dollars, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can fill me in the comments as you're leaving a like. But for recent sales, $2,000 is a pretty healthy number. They've been kind of $1,400 to maybe $1,600-ish. So that one did sell for $2,000. Here was another one that sold for $1,700. The box was not in perfect condition. It had some tears and creases and things like that. But the full set was inside, as you can see there. A beautiful box set, and $1,700 in an auction, plus $60 shipping on that one. Some graded examples. We had an AFA 9.0 Princess Leia Slave Outfit VC64 proof card. These were handed out at Star Wars Celebration, I believe. No, it was an SDCC giveaway. You'll excuse me on that one. AFA 9.0 VC64 proof card. That one sold in an auction for $146 free shipping. Pretty good price there. Next up, I've got some of those Walmart exclusives that with the animated Tartakovsky style card backs. Walmart exclusive Lubanara Andule. It just sounds so Italian. I can't help myself. AFA uncirculated 9.0. That one sold for $110 plus $13 shipping. And then we had the Barris Offie from that same line, that same wave. Uncirculated 9.0 on that one. That one also sold for $110 plus $13 shipping. Here was a 9.25 archival case 2024 release of Phase 1 Clone Trooper. This was VC309. Beautiful card image on that one. $131.50 plus $10 shipping. Same seller also had that 9.0 Count Dooku. Count Dooku, not Dooku. Count Dooku. And this one sold for $134.51 on 2 bids plus shipping. That was just a beautiful card. I love this card bag. I don't know what it is. Perfect card image. Absolutely amazing. So that one was VC307. Archival 9.0 for about $135. So, given the recent releases, they're this year releases, high grade, admittedly, But that's a good sign, in my opinion, for fairly original-ish figures that are newer releases. It seems like for a while there, a lot of the recent releases, even in high grade, maybe because the characters just didn't resonate with collectors, I don't know. But a lot of the recent releases were like 60, 70, 80 bucks, basically covering the cost of grading plus shipping to and from AFA plus maybe the original cost of the item. But lately, some of the prices have been very strong, and those are two good examples there. Another one, Casca Reeves. This was an uncirculated 9.0 Target exclusive. Hard to get the Target exclusives in an uncirculated designation, and that one did sell for $130 plus $16 shipping. Disruptor is the seller on this one. Go check him out on eBay. He's got a lot of recent releases in very high grade, uncirculated, even these Target exclusives. Full disclosure, Disruptor is a channel supporter, but I like to highlight his items because he's got a wide range of modern items, AFA graded, so go check out Disruptor on eBay if you're looking for any recent releases. So he had Casca Reeves, that sold. He had Axe Wolves, uncirculated 9.0, again a Target exclusive. That one sold for $130 as well. And then he also had this pairing, which I thought was nice. This one is the Showdown version of Obi-Wan Kenobi in an uncirculated 9.0 fan channel 2-pack exclusive, packed in with one of the best Darth Vader duels end. I love that figure. Very, very cool figure. That one was also an uncirculated 9.0. So for the two of them together, archival cases, $329.99 plus 25 bucks shipping. So very cool to see those together. And then finally, here was a CAS 90 grade Canadian Yoda. This is the VC20 Canadian Yoda with the alternate image, multi-language name pill, one of the holy grails for the vintage collection. The subgrades were 90, 90, 95, and it did sell for $1,250, free shipping. Absolute stunner. It was a punched example, but that's a really healthy price. Just for, you know, it seems like VC20, the Canadian example, I think, if memory serves, it peaked at $2,800 graded. And it has really come back down to earth. Now if you're looking for that holy grail in terms of retail releases, this one is it. And I think now's as good a time as any to grab it. Ungraded, I've seen as low recently as $800 to $900. And then obviously here was a graded punched example that did sell for $1,250. So if you're on the lookout for that one, now's a good time to grab it. And I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales for the vintage collection. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I like to cover both vintage as well as modern Star Wars figures, prices on eBay, prices on the auction houses, comic books, things like that. So consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.